Welcome to Mams Talk or Mams Talk Survivor. We're talking about the finale of Survivor Manhattan. Very exciting. What a journey, Jessica.
What a journey. Huge moment for the K Survivor franchise happening here.
Yeah,
The
I
first
do.
ever finale.
Yeah. Um, just in general, I feel like we have struggled to think of a good franchise
Yeah.
name. It's really been Kay's version, I think, is the closest that we've gotten.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, if anyone has ideas, please let us know. I got nothing.
Yeah,
Because
no,
we're
we've
not just
we've
in New York. Also, there already is a Survivor New York.
yeah.
So, struggle
Yeah, I don't
bus.
know. We really established ourselves with the location names and then now we're
Yeah,
straying from the location names, but also it's like the location names are great for each season, but what's the through line? You know?
right, right.
I like K's version, Survivor K's version, but it doesn't have the same marketability as another name would. But I think it's cute.
Yeah. It's also putting too much spotlight on me,
That's true. You're also
which
not even hosting next year, so
I know. But it still will be my version because I'm gonna win.
well, of course. And you're the editor and executive producer.
Yeah, editor-in-chief. Many things. All right, but we're here to talk about Survivor Manhattan.
Yes.
Um, this made me very emotional. I don't know, I just think I put a lot of love and care into this, and usually when I do the previously ons, they make me cringe because I hate hearing my voice do those little performances or whatever. But something about this, I was like, it's all come together. And then the song starts, right?
hmm
I find out on tonight on Survivor. Right? And I was like, I'm in it. This is gonna be amazing. And then you heard my voice again.
I thought that it was at first I thought it was a choice. Like it was like a interspersed through the theme song, it'll be like, and who will come on top? And who will blah blah blah. Like I thought it was a choice, and then I realized it was just the same thing you already said.
Yeah,
But it was
I just
again.
put that audio clip in twice, I guess.
I can't
And
believe you
didn't
missed
notice it.
that.
God, I don't know. I
I mean,
just
you added this over the course of a week. So
not yet the whole season.
yeah, no, I know.
The whole thing is put out back. I think two of the episodes I put out in one day.
Yeah, I don't know what you were on. You were doing
I mean,
something.
there wasn't much to edit, so
Yeah.
and I didn't put a lot of care into that part of this.
Yeah.
So
And there also was
yeah,
not it's not like we had multiple camera angles. It's
right.
not like there was any additional audio stuff. Like with Scan, we did some audio magic
Hmm.
that was not happening here clearly because you can't hear anything that's being said.
No. I
uh,
also want to state right now that the every time a tribal council has happened, the camera has gotten further away from the contestants.
and therefore
I
quieter.
I'm not to blame for this. Okay? After after the pre-merge at least, I'm not to blame for this because
hmm
other people were setting it up for me. I'm contemplating if I should throw them under the bus here,
You know who
but
you are. You know who you are.
you know who you are, and you know that I asked you if it looked good, and you said, "Oh yeah, it's perfect," and that's what happened. It's so much
I
negative space, so far away from the contestants you can't even hear.
My favorite part is the table that you can see in the
Right.
shot.
I mean, because the camera truly was propped up on, and it was not a chair. It was propped up. I think it actually okay. It was
It
on a
was a cart,
chair on a um what's it called? A cooler,
rolling cart. Oh, yeah,
a
yeah.
little portable cooler. It was
No,
just
but it was on
leaned on that.
but then it was on the cart that we used to carry the chairs. Like it was
Right.
a rolling fabric cart and
Hmm.
we would roll it to angle it. I'm pretty sure is what would
So
happen.
basically like
Like
a dolly is what I'm
kind
hearing.
yeah.
We should have used that in a challenge. Keep it steady. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. The craftsmanship is not here, but it's okay. We live, we learn, we move on. But let's talk about our winner here, Olivia.
Yeah, congratulations, Olivia. Great
Congratulations.
job.
Who would have expected this?
Huge. I think that this is such a fun winner for this
Oh,
season.
yeah. I
Like
think it's so I don't want to say it's poetic, let's say that.
Yeah.
Because she's like kind of the outcast of the group in
Mm-hmm.
a sense, because she like came in kind of not knowing many people,
Mm-hmm.
and then like her bestie was out
Yeah.
right away,
Yeah.
so she's like playing the lone soldier game, and she
Yeah.
made it out on top in a game
Yeah.
that's
And
all
she's
about
also like,
relationships.
and she was targeted a lot. She won
Mm-hmm.
when she needed to win. She had the two idols. That's always fun. Like when like someone like you want to get them out, but you can't because they're safe, you know, like
Yeah.
that is always interesting. And yeah, she just had like a really like aggressive presence in the game as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like she was up in there, like yeah, she was spreading stuff to people. She made her mark on the season.
For sure. Yeah. And you can see I'm happy about this as well when I'm reading the
Yeah. Oh
votes.
yeah. I
Oh,
do think
I'm
it's funny.
Olivia winner. Yeah, I think it was really exciting to me because like she did have so much going against her.
Mhm.
And she still won like that. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that she had fun, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
was. I mean. Oh no. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I voted for Caroline.
Right.
I do stand by my juror vote for Caroline, but I do
Yes.
think watching the season through, Olivia is like not that she gets a winner at it, but like it just feels correct,
It
especially
does.
because
It feels
Caroline didn't
right.
film anything.
Yeah.
It's hard to really like it's hard to really get the full grasp of what Caroline's game was. And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
talk to her after this and hopefully get shed some light on that. Um,
Yes. We will be talking to Caroline. We also have at bat, or sorry, not at bat, on deck.
on deck.
We've been talking about baseball references recently,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how there's just so many in pop culture um, that are just
Just
like
about
in
baseball.
just about baseball and like just regular words that we say. So on deck after Caroline is CJ, and then our
Hmm.
winner Olivia will be here.
Yes. Yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Excited to get some, but I'm especially excited to talk to Caroline because there's like, and I'm sure that we talked about this all with Caroline when it had happened, but it was so long ago.
Yeah.
So having like the targeted questions will be good. I'm just like, she's just so bad at filming. Be better.
Girl, get it together.
I'm begging you.
Yeah, because I do feel like we're missing so much of like what made her game so like admirable.
Yeah.
Because like there is a world where like she wins this and is like super deserving of that. But
Hmm.
like I think you're right that like if you're just watching this, like it would feel I do think it would feel kind of empty because
Yeah,
you don't get a lot of her story.
for
Like
sure.
you get that like you get the CJ
Yeah.
Gabby, but like a lot else I feel like is not
Yeah.
super clear.
Yeah. And I do think that, like, I think she makes her argument well. Like, I
Hmm.
was convinced by her argument. Um, and I think that she's good at, like, when you witness her in the game, she's slippery, you know, like, you can just tell, like, when you're playing with her, it's a lot easier to see, like, the power that she has in the game, I guess. Especially when you're like me being voted out and then, like, being like, oh, like now I finally see the full scope of the game. It was really easy for me to follow like the the upper hand that she had throughout the game. But I do, yeah, it's not even CJ filmed a more comprehensive storyline,
Oh
you
yeah.
know? Like CJ was building up to something great with his the stuff he filmed and like the where his head was at, but it obviously just fell a little short for him. So
Yeah. If he had done one of the things that he had said he was gonna do, I
mhm.
think we would maybe have a different conversation here.
Yeah.
But He couldn't pull off any of them,
Yeah.
unfortunately. He did, except for
Yeah.
Allie. Except for Allie. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the alley was good. I don't know if you want to wait to talk about the jury questioning. But
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Okay, I'll save it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just jump into it, right?
Mhm.
So this is the aftermath of the Gabby vote out. So big moment. CJ is now realizing that his wife wasn't gonna vote him out and
Yeah.
that something went awry.
His reaction is so funny. Like,
Oh,
oh.
that's tough.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. Like it's like the way he like slowly. Okay, first of all, like Olivia's not easing him into it at all. Like Olivia's like
Girl,
she's talking about like what just happened.
she's like,
Like
yeah,
she's like
and we did this and we did that and because you did that and you did this. So
she's not even being like, ha ha, ha, we got you. She's just like, oh, obviously you're stupid because not that she says that, but like
yeah.
obviously you were like in the wrong here because like didn't you see? Gabby didn't even vote for you. She voted for Caroline. Like
Idiot, you fucking dum dum.
but she's saying it so matter of factly that
It
it
is so
takes him.
matter of
He's
fact.
still not picking up on it
He
exactly
really
what
hadn't
like.
processed, I don't think, until like after the conversation had happened.
Yeah, he steps away with Dylan, and he finally is like, dude. So
he's
like
like, I
Gabby wasn't
think
gonna vote
so.
for me.
Wait, who voted for me? Like, yeah, I think he
Yeah.
blacked out. I think he did.
Yeah, because everyone keeps being like, every vote was for Gabby except for Gabby, who voted for Caroline.
And he just was like,
said like multiple times, and he's like, oh my god, he like knows he fucked up so bad with that
yeah,
one.
he's like that woman. This is a deep cut, like meme reference, I guess. But that woman on that like court show.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, when was the last time you slept together? And he was like, this morning. And she's just like, mouth open, wide eyes. Like,
Yeah.
that was CJ.
Yeah.
But I will say what Olivia does in this conversation, I think, is really powerful.
Mhm.
Because she is like really clearly laying out like why she made the
Yes.
move.
Yes.
Like she's saying that like, oh, when I talked to you, CJ, and I had mentioned Dylan, you seemed surprised,
Mhm.
which signaled to me that you were gonna vote Caroline.
Yeah.
Which was correct.
Yeah.
And then, she takes the ownership over the fact that like, she flipped the vote, which like obviously Caroline had a lot of say in here, but Caroline does nothing to combat this claim.
But here's the thing though. I don't think that that's necessarily a good, like, I don't think that Olivia is necessarily making a good decision sharing this information right now. Like, she still, as we know, is available to be voted out at 4.
I guess that's true.
And if they were a little bit more quick on the uptake, like with that, they could have realized how big a threat she was and gotten Olivia. I mean, well, obviously, but then Caroline is a barrier to that as well. So that's a whole other thing. But like in theory, this is like putting a target on Olivia's back. There's still a vote to happen. And I think Caroline, the way that I'm reading her in this situation is she's trying to like, I think she's kind of trying to downplay what just happened, whereas Olivia is trying to like sensationalize what just happened. And
but
that's
it,
kind
it
of where
works though.
It does.
Dylan
but
is
I
like,
think that
wow, she
I
really
know.
like did something.
I know, but I do think it was like a huge risk, and I don't necessarily think it was the in most. I think she got a little lucky. Like I think in most scenarios, this would be a bad idea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
but it does make her seem like she was in control of that situation though. So it does the intended effect. I don't even. Do you think she's intending to do it? Do you think she's just like excited about it and talking about it, or do you think she's trying to like sensationalize her involvement?
I don't know. That's a good question. It could be either.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing she does is she sells the fact that she used the idol on Caroline. She says that was like her idea.
Yeah.
Because she approached Caroline to make a deal with her that she would not get rid of her the next round.
Yeah.
Which is smart. Again, we didn't see this. If this is what happened, maybe this is a sensationalized version of it. But I don't know.
Again, I think that's she's sharing this with everybody.
Right.
Like I think this is just so much information.
But I mean, what are they gonna do about it? Because like those two are together. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
2 to
guess
2.
so. Yeah, I think if in the scenario where Caroline is not so set on bringing Olivia to the end for her own
Right.
reasons, this goes so badly. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I think even if Caroline agrees that like if the idol's used on her and like she won't vote for Olivia the next round, like that
Mhm.
means nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's just like I just think it was like
But maybe she
crazy.
read her correctly because
Maybe.
she had those intentions, you know what I mean?
And
I don't know.
no, she did. No,
And
no, I think it
maybe I'm
works
giving
out
her
for
too
her,
much
obviously.
credit, but
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
Maybe I'm not giving her enough credit
Yeah.
but I just
Maybe
from my game
mhm.
mind watching this, I'm like, get me out of this situation. Like this feels just like a bad idea. Like this is like a fire waiting to happen, you know? Like to me, I'm like, oh my God, she's saying so much, she's saying so much. Like it just feels
Yeah.
scary be like watching it. And I think I can like almost I don't know if maybe like the fact that Caroline is saying so little makes me feel like Caroline feels that this is too much information to be giving away. But
Mhm.
you know what I mean? But
I
yeah.
will say, as you know, we didn't know that they weren't going to have so much, like, so little time to talk at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you did know that, I think this is like a good time to be kind
Yeah.
of sharing,
Yeah.
because you know, you don't have that opportunity. I will say that at the tribal council, the final four tribal council, I think Olivia does a good job of like posturing to the jury before it's
Mhm.
even like speech time.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
that's
wrote,
true.
yeah, and I think that's another, like, she's like seizing opportunities to like make cases for herself, where like Caroline is continuing to stay like kind of
Mhm.
quiet. And
Yeah.
at that point, she has immunity. She knows that
Yeah.
she's in the final three. I think that would have been like the perfect time to try to like combat some of the things that Olivia's saying, or
Yeah.
like just like say something to maybe get like a good perception of you for the jury, but
Yeah. No, I
it
agree.
doesn't
I think
happen.
especially once the immunity's played, I don't think there's really any reason to be downplaying your game at this point. Like because you are safe. Like Olivia is the one who has something to lose. Or what you could do is then you could start saying, "Did you hear what Olivia said?" Like that. I mean, obviously, again, Caroline wants to take Olivia to the end, so like this is the way it happens, and like because those two want each other in the end, it's almost always going to happen that way. Like there's not really.
Hmm.
Well, also we could talk about the fact that no one knows what happens at a tie,
Right.
which I think it affects a lot of things here because I think it's very clear that Dylan and CJ want Olivia gone. So like if they had decided to do like Olivia and then two votes on Dylan, like and there is a tie, then things who knows
Yeah.
what happens then. But regardless,
The tie in this situation would have just been like the old school way of doing it, which is just drawing rocks, like the purple
at
rock,
four. Gotcha.
yeah, like Marquesas style.
Mm-hmm.
But like the alternative to that is like some sort of competition,
Yeah.
which I don't think anyone should be like straying away from, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think the inexperience of a lot of these contestants really showed in this episode.
Well, let's also, in their defense, there was no rule book. Like there was no
There was
rule
no rule
book.
book,
It
but
was
also
not.
that's just how Survivor works. It's gonna be one of those two
No, I
things.
know. Right,
Do you
right.
know what I
No,
mean?
I agree. And like people, they should have done their research. But I like
Let's research mama.
yeah. But I do think that like in the scan we have a rule book. It makes things a lot
Yeah.
clearer. Like it's just like you have to go in as from a planner perspective. You have to go in assuming people are not going to do their research, and they're
Well,
not like
I
so
told them
the.
to.
I
So
know.
that's on you.
But you
That's on
said,
you.
but you said watch one season, and you didn't say
Okay.
which one. But you don't know necessarily what happened. Not every season has a tie. There are seasons with zero ties. You know what I mean? Like,
They could have
and
asked
then it's
me.
also,
You
they
be
could
proactive.
have asked you, and I know that you planned this in 2 weeks, but I
Yeah,
do think it would have been nice if everyone knew what happened to the tie. Just saying,
whatever.
it it caused a few issues.
All right. Well, just an update for everyone. Last week we talked about Gabby and CJ's marital spat. This week we're gonna live have our couples therapy.
Okay, bring him in. Bring him in. I went and got my certification. So I'm now a
you're
certified
the therapist for us?
Yes, I'm the certified couples
I think
therapist.
it's maybe a conflict of interest.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Can you imagine walking to a therapist's office and we're like, we just are really upset because I didn't make the rule book for our fake survivor game.
Oh, you were saying we're having therapy.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were bringing
sorry,
Gabby
was that
and
not?
No, I understand. I thought
no,
we were
it's
bringing
for
Gabby
us.
and CJ on. Oh,
Because
gotcha,
you called me out.
because
and I
we're
was like-
fighting.
and I yeah.
Yeah, because
Sorry,
we're
that
fighting.
wasn't clear.
Yeah.
See, because our communication is so
No,
bad,
because
we need to go to therapy.
No, I like the idea that I'm our therapist.
That's why I was like, oh, wait, talk me through it. Okay, go ahead.
So when we walk into the therapist's office, they're like, "Come on in," and
Who's
then I
they?
walk in. No.
They.
The receptionist. They're like, they're ready for you. We walk into an empty room. I walk to the bar chair, and I say, "Please take a seat."
And both of us sit.
Yeah, and then both of us sit. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then it's just me telling you that you're wrong the whole time.
You're like, So, have you ever thought about the other scenario? All right.
I also don't know why you're fighting me, because you told me that you should have made a rule book. Just saying, like,
no, it's just me being fake mad.
I know. No, but people didn't do enough research. I'll say that.
Yeah.
People can't be mad if their game was bad and they didn't watch a single season of Survivor. That's all I have to say.
Gina Rodriguez is right. Let's research, mama.
Let's research, mama.
All right. Wow. What a great derailment. Thank you so much for indulging me.
Anyway, I think the conversation with CJ and Dylan is funny. So they're set on getting Olivia gone at this point. Yeah. They're like, she's got to go. But, or did they want, because this is before the challenge, right? They wanted Olivia still even before the challenge.
Yeah, because they're trying to get Caroline to side with them.
Right. They said that could be us three.
Well, because CJ's reasoning for this is that that Caroline told him about Gabby, and then he realizes that was a lie.
Right, yeah.
In the middle of this conversation, he's like, yeah, we can trust her. We should get her on our side because she's the one who told me about Gabby.
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, but Gabby didn't vote for me. I guess we can't trust Caroline.
Yeah, watching this was quite funny. This whole like situation was very funny.
Yeah.
His like watching his like out loud Scott process. Yeah, I don't because he wants Olivia
win
gone.
Immunity.
Well, yeah.
That's
why. Right. So I guess they want. She does say, right, his plan after, we'll talk about after the challenge, but his plan after the challenge is we get Caroline on our side to go against Olivia. Right. That's his. But
that was his plan before the challenge as well.
Yes.
Before he realized that she lied to him.
Yes.
But it stays the same afterwards. So yeah, let's talk about the challenge real quick. It's nothing crazy. It's really just the balancing with the balls. And they're bad at it. Let's just call a spade a spade. They're bad at it.
I love the turning to the wind.
Oh my god. Listen. Because I told them, I was like, no, you have to face forward because it looks bad. And it did look bad.
Yeah.
And
it
Dylan,
did. And then I love that Dylan still did it.
He still did it. And I should have been like, Dylan, you're out.
Yeah, you should have.
I should have been petty.
You should have.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I let it happen.
Too nice.
I put my foot down during the two balls because they were like, no, wait. And I was like, nope, we're starting in 3, 2, 1. And then everyone dropped. But I was like,
immediately.
I was like, y'all kind of stink at this.
I should have had a chance to try.
You're failing at 2 balls.
Yeah. If it's windy, I mean, 2 balls is tough.
It was not the wind. They were like wiggling
this.
Bad strat.
Yeah, call him out.
Yeah. This I will say that if this had gone on any longer, I think it would have been really boring to watch because just watching people go like this.
Yeah.
With a single shot.
Yeah. Not like no close-ups to the face.
Pretty boring.
Like, yeah.
So maybe thank God they finished quickly.
Yeah, and thank God we were running out of time.
And
like,
thank God
for everybody, because it was dark at the end of this, as you can see, which is just like so funny to watch in the final tribal. It truly goes pitch black.
No, literally.
There's there's no lights in Central Park, I guess, because it was so dark.
Yeah. There were some fireflies that were trying their best to help us out, but
yeah, the fireflies were cute.
not enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, Caroline wins.
Yes, big moment for her. This is her first win.
Second.
Right?
No, she won the popsicle stick challenge.
Right. Sorry. I forgot about that
Which
one.
again, it wasn't a lot of skill, but it was
that's the thing.
a lot of social capital.
Which is like obviously still a valid win. But yeah, I guess definitely. I was thinking more of like a physical feat or a mental feat that had happened. But yeah, no, big moment for Caroline, because currently I think that this adds to her potential to win, because it like Olivia's doing all the flashy stuff at this point. Like she's got the idols, she's won 2 challenges, she's played 2 idols. I mean, she's misplayed both of them, but she still is the only one to even really be playing them. So that's something. Yeah. So I feel like if I didn't know how this played out, I would be like, oh, this could be Caroline's like push to win, you know?
Yeah. Also, I do think that even though her and Olivia won the exact same amount of immunity challenges, I think Olivia's just like make a bigger impact because like of the timing of it. Like she just like won when she had to.
Yes.
Whereas like Caroline's were kind of like unnecessary.
Yes.
Like she wasn't gonna go either of those times, I don't think.
Right. I agree. Which I do think has its own value. Like I think winning even when you're like not even being an option to go has a lot of strategic value. But from a jury perspective, being able to save yourself by the skin of your teeth is like a lot more impressive. Like it's just more exciting, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they wanted Olivia gone, but they can't get her. They just can't get her. She keeps running away. Like, you know what I mean? Like they can't catch her, that kind of thing.
Yeah. People don't like an easy ride.
Yeah.
They like a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Through. But it's very respectable. Not discrediting at all. But congratulations to Caroline.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for you. And then we get some after the challenge conversations. CJ's eating some cornbread and it sounds delicious. Like just it sounds moist. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I'm like, give me some of that.
So are you enjoying the mouth sounds from CJ? Is that
I am. Usually like food stuff is a no for me, but something about it. I don't know what to tell you.
I think that I was like, grossed out by it.
Here's how it sounded to me. You know, like in like cartoons when like a character's eating, like, but it's like it sounds good. Like you know what I mean? Like that's what it was.
I understand.
It didn't sound like real. It didn't sound too like.
Yeah. You know? I think
it was just kind of like.
I wasn't impressed.
All right. Maybe I was just hungry.
I think I remember watching it being like, some chewing happening.
Yeah. We had opposite reactions, I guess.
Well, I'm glad CJ enjoyed his cornbread.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. All right. Enough about the cornbread. But yeah, they're discussing how ties work, and they have no clue.
Yeah. And at least they're honest, you know.
Yeah.
No one has any idea.
So they're like, I guess we have to get a majority.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I do love that they didn't even want to try it. I mean, if like if it was gonna, I know that they knew that they had to revote, which is true. Like
true.
But and then somebody says something along the lines of rocks. Like I think that's kind of what I think they had assumed that it was going to be something like that, but it seemed like they just didn't even want to touch it. They were like, we're gonna vote for like, either we're just gonna go with
the person. Well, they all would have drawn rocks at Final Four.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can't just have 2 people draw rocks.
No, because the only person in like regular rock rules, whoever's not voted for.
No, I know.
Would get it would automatically be CJ that leaves.
Exactly.
In that case, which is not. That's stupid. So obviously, CJ would then be putting himself at risk in this situation. I don't know if he's like thinking that far ahead, but he does decide to flip on Dylan.
I get the vibe that he is thinking about himself a little bit, because it kind of seems like, it seems to me that that's sort of the conclusion he came to with the Zach vote, like when Zach was trying to convince CJ to force a tie. I don't, like, again, there's no footage of him being like, how does a tie work, or like whatever, but it gives me the vibe that it was just like self-preservation. So I'm assuming it's a similar situation.
So.
However,
I just don't know if he knows, like, if he's thinking about like,
yeah,
if it's not him, then it's going to be me in a tie. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, but I think that he's actually kind of maybe convinced that it should just be Dylan, like a little bit.
Yeah, I think that is what it is, because he's pitching to Caroline that Olivia has a really good story, and Caroline's like, what?
Yeah.
No, people aren't gonna respect her.
Yeah.
Well, she was wrong. And then he says like, oh well, Dylan's the like underdog story here, titled up. And like he has the narrative to win, which I think it is true to an extent. I'm curious think how the votes would have gone if Dylan was here.
I think the dragon fruits are voting for Dylan. I mean, obviously depends. Like, I think I'm someone that who puts a lot of stock in like the arguments people are giving. Like, for like, that's why I voted for Caroline. But I think based on the way that Ella voted and the way that Zach voted, I think that they would have been like we had all talked about that we wanted a dragon fruit to win if that was possible. So I think there's a very high likelihood that at least those two vote for him. I know I said that at one point too, I would vote for him if he was there. So us three, and then I don't know if maybe he'd convince some.
Do you think he would have made a good argument? I think he would have been like floundering.
I'm sure. Really that's why I don't know if I would have voted for him. Like, I can't speak for the others if that would be a factor for them, but I feel like if he's up there instead of Olivia, because that's who they're talking about right now, I think I'm still voting for Caroline, probably.
Yeah, and I think Gabby probably still is too. So I think it really hinges on Allie.
Yeah.
And okay, something else, again, poor planning on my part. Well, actually not poor planning on my part, but there were supposed to be more jurors, but they just left. But there were 6 jurors at the end, which is super problematic.
Yeah. Ties multiple ways could occur.
Because it could have been a 2-2-2, which is impossible to break. At least if it was 3-3, like in this scenario, some other person, like CJ then would have had the power.
Yes.
And he's voting for
Caroline.
I think he's voting for Dylan.
Oh, sorry, I forgot Olivia's not here in this situation. No, he's voting for Dylan for sure.
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
So I think Dylan would have won.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
But I definitely think there's
kind of cool.
It would have been cool. I definitely think there's a chance he doesn't win, but I also think there's a high chance he does.
I think
like, I think it's honestly like 50-50, because the whole time we're talking about like tribal lines, we're talking about like again, the dragon fruits on the sideline are like, I just want a dragon fruit to win, which basically just means I want Dylan to win because he's the only one left. Like, that was sort of the vibe that was happening. So
yeah, so CJ flips on Dylan here. Do we think this is a good decision for him?
I mean, clearly not. Because he, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't get any votes, but I don't know that is different with Dylan there. You know what I mean? I think he would have had to get, I mean, Caroline's safe. But again, even if he gets Caroline out, Olivia still
I don't
wins,
think it's like a big enough move to get out Olivia for him to like make a claim for himself.
Especially because until the final tribal, people are kind of underestimating her anyway. So I think that it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. I don't know that he has a path, or even if he keeps Dylan around, unless he can like convince Caroline to also keep Dylan, and then he like realizes that that's what he needs to use in his argument. Be like, I got rid of Olivia for XYZ reason, and like I manipulated Caroline into doing XYZ, and I kept Dylan for these reasons because we were allies and like whatever, and like he would have to like spin doctor it, you know.
Yeah, it's not enough. I will say that Dylan like pretty clearly points out in the tribal that like Olivia is kind of the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Because he like says like her lack of connections really helped her and like her challenge wins are like a big deal. Um, and then she kind of emphasizes that she maybe is like a big threat without like
Yeah.
saying it.
Hmm.
Again, I'm saying like she's like doing a good job of like
Yeah.
posturing to the jury.
Yes.
Um, but it doesn't matter because Dylan goes here. Very
Yeah.
sad. 3-1. Okay,
Wait, I
we
do
need
have
to.
to say so. Sorry, I have to say something though, because again, is that the right move for Olivia to be laying her cards out on the table at this tribal? Like, she just feels so, I hate to say
Uh-huh.
it, she's so comfortable. She's so comfortable.
Comfortable.
Like, she's so comfortable in her position, and like, sure,
Mhm.
it's warranted. But like, should it be that warranted? Like, there are two people who
Yeah.
are actively anti Olivia. The only person you're relying on is like Caroline not getting swayed by them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is that like really like I mean it pays off for her, obviously it pays
Hmm.
off for her, but it's risky,
Yeah, but it's
you
also
know.
just fun.
Well, of course it's fun, and
CJ
that's
says
why
later that she's not good TV, and you know what? She's the only one talking to me at tribal council.
yes,
So, you know what?
exactly.
She is good TV.
No, the one thing that I can say firmly about Olivia is that she makes good
She's
TV.
good TV. Don't tell
like
me otherwise.
she's playing a very entertaining game, and like the risk
Very.
that she is taking, which again I would say are risks within the game,
Hmm.
because she is so comfortable,
Yeah.
they're fun, they're good to watch.
Yeah. And this, I think, like some of the best players have played that way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Tony. I'm trying to think of other people, but like I'm thinking a lot about Australian Survivor
Mm.
contestants. But there's a lot. They are very flashy players.
Hmm.
And but they're still good. Like they're it's not
Yeah.
like gonna change people. Like they do it in a way that's like
Hmm.
they're still on top. You know, it's like a power
Yeah.
play, and I
Yeah.
think this is a power play.
Yeah. Very true.
But that's what I have to say about that. And something else I have to
Anyway.
say, and
Yeah.
we're bringing this back around,
Hmm.
is the chair curse.
Of course, got to talk about
But let's talk,
it.
listen, now that everyone's voted out, we can really talk about it.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
final three are the only three besides Dom and Liam. Or maybe
Hmm.
Dom was on the floor, I don't remember. Um,
Dom was on the floor.
Dom was on the floor. Liam was not. I
Hmm.
think Liam's the only one who was not on the floor, who
And
didn't get
he was
voted out.
basically medevac, so
He was yeah, it's a different situation.
just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about
He had to go to
it.
work.
Right. And maybe he broke a chair at work. We don't know.
So true.
Yeah. Well, he broke his brain, so that's what that was. But yeah, final three, only people who have never sat on the floor or broke a chair in this game. And I think that's worth noting, even though you
Oh,
like to discredit me. What do you have
Dylan
to
sat on the
say?
floor?
Yes.
When? I mean, I believe
Um,
you. I don't need. It's fine. I believe you. I just like you've been keeping track, so I believe you.
oh, I've been keeping track. Okay.
So I don't know why I'm asking. I'm so happy that your chair theory has paid off for you.
It has. And I command respect.
Just like Olivia.
Yes. Believe in the curse.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. It paid off and I would like some credit. Okay.
Okay, I give you credit.
Thank
That's me
you.
patting you on the back.
Just like I patted you on the back when you got voted out.
Wow. When I
Yeah.
didn't even bring up my chair. I'm actually still in the
Exactly.
game. I didn't bring up my chair. My chair wasn't snuffed. I'm the winner.
Oh my God. What? Congratulations. Huge moment for you 2 years
Huge.
later.
Yeah, it's actually, I've been
How do you
holding that
feel?
in. I feel amazing. I feel so good about winning this. I mean, I played the best game clearly.
Yeah, by far.
By far.
Your merge game out of this world.
One for the ages, I would say.
Oh my goodness. We are a silly goofy today. But yeah, so let's get to the final tribal council, shall
Yes.
we?
This is what I want to talk about.
Oh yes. Daylight is turning on us quickly.
Mr. Sun, he is saying goodbye.
Going down.
My favorite part of this is you being so stressed out about it. Like you, which I don't know if it's coming across in camera as much, but I remember you being like, every time someone would ask a question, you'd be like, let's make it quick. Let's make it quick.
I cut off people multiple times in this. I'm like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because we're not gonna be able to see.
Yeah. And you were right. Like, I think that people were also having a hard time like believing that that was true. Like, I think people were like, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. But then like by the end, it's pitch black. It is so dark. You can't even like the fact that everyone the final tribal council holding the phones is so funny. Like holding the flashlights in front of their face. It's like they're reading. You read the votes. It's like not only do you have a flashlight on you, like someone's holding a flashlight. I think I'm holding a flashlight on you, or I'm filming. I can't remember. But
well, like CJ's holding it on himself.
Yeah, CJ's holding it. They're all like holding it on themselves.
Losing.
Yeah,
he's just like
so funny. It's like the most tense moment of the entire season. Everyone's like with their flashlights.
It's incredible.
It's quite funny. Okay.
And what is this series if not a little funny?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like we need a little camp.
The production side of this season is chaotic as hell. So
for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? I can't say that Scan is not chaotic as hell on the production side either.
Well, anyway, moving on. Oh, okay. So Olivia and CJ come out of the gate swinging here.
Yes. I thought that this was so funny.
Like right, just like starting to like discredit each other, and this is where we get the like Olivia doesn't make good TV.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well,
it's so funny. And then the best part
getting
about
a little personal here, and like Olivia is just like she doesn't give a fuck.
It's so funny. Well, she's says, like, okay, sorry. She's like, sorry. Well, yeah, no, she does not give a fuck about the "you don't make good TV" comment. And then my favorite part is the like after CJ comes back and being like, well, I guess it's Olivia because she said me, so I'm gonna say her. Basically, like that's like his. And I think he would have said that regardless because he totally didn't respect her game at all. But yeah. I just thought it was funny that he was like, well, you know, my answer's Olivia, like right after she says him, and then Caroline comes and she goes. I think I'm gonna have to go CJ.
I also would probably say CJ because we
played really similar games. She's so like she's always the politician.
Yeah,
Caroline.
but it's funny that she's a politician like with that voice. Like she,
we
played really similar games. But also, I think I was guiding more of the votes, I guess. Which is so true, but like I wish she would like be a little more like punchy about it, you know? Like I wish she was just like I would say CJ because like we did do similar things, but like I got in the votes, like stamp that girl. Say that because that is such a huge like credit. That's such a huge like resume thing that you could have like really emphasized. And I feel like she's like, oh, I guess I was leading more of the votes.
Well, I think she like, feels bad in real life, but then also I think that she's like CJ's gonna get mad. Like you just got so mad at Olivia.
She's like, please don't tell me that I'm bad.
She's like, I don't need him slandering me alongside Olivia. It's so funny.
And that's fair.
And then that's the tone we set with CJ for this final tribal council.
The rest of the life. He's on.
And Olivia, they're both like fighting the entire time. It's so
I wish we had more time for this, truly, because I think this actually would have been a really fun final tribal.
Yeah, it was like quite emotions were high. It was quite chaotic.
I also think like we would have gotten better jury questions. Like I would have like prepped.
The questions were bad. Yeah,
I was like, what is the? I was like, don't even answer that. That's. I was like, what
I
is
also
that
remember
Dylan, what?
I got up there and I said, my question. And I remember like multiple people were like, fuck, that was my question. I was like, yeah, we all were gonna ask what your biggest move was, like
They're like,
obviously.
damn. Like, get creative here, and I don't mean
And
like
I was,
who would you want an alliance with if you could
yeah,
have played an alliance. It's just like, who do you like
yeah,
the most? Like, that was really the
right.
question.
Who is your
Um,
bestie?
who do you like the best? Who do you want to vote from?
I also think that like those questions just beg say, and the same thing with the regret question. Everyone assumes that the person asking that wants you to like butter them up, which always is like,
Mm,
that's never my intention personally.
yeah,
So I never assume that that's other people's intention, but like maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that that was Allie's intention with this question. But
I
it's
don't
just
think so.
like, it was like, I feel it was Olivia being like, not telling you about the idol was my biggest regret or whatever. Like that was like, she said something. I was like, really?
No, about the scone.
well, that part, that her actual regret is throwing out the scone. Important.
Yeah,
Because she could have really used that scone.
and I believe you have stated this in the past that her biggest regret being the scone is what really like swayed you away from voting for Olivia.
Like, I'm so sorry, but yes, it was the fact that the scone was brought up twice in the
You were like, be
tribal
so
council
for real.
jury questioning. I was like, I'm so sorry if you think that your biggest move, what did she say about the scone? She said, oh, her biggest move was having two idols and everybody knew about one of them but keeping one of them secret. Fine answer.
Yeah.
And also putting her scone in the pocket to fool people was also added to that. And then so she said that, and I'm already like, all right. And this is the first I've heard of the scone. This is like
Right.
this
I
is
think
my
it's the first
introduction to the scone.
anyone. Like she mentioned it, I'm sure, but like I think people were like, I guess she had a scone.
Yeah. And it makes more sense when you get the like introduction to the scone. I think it makes it a little bit better. But being on the jury, hearing, oh, and I put a scone in my pocket, so people would like think that I had an idol, and then when I actually got the idol, I took out the scone and replaced it with the real idol. It's like, I am so sorry, I can't take that seriously. And then it comes up again, and then that was when she had signed her death warrant, because I
For
like
you.
for me, because I was like, I'm sorry, like if two of your answers are about a scone, I just don't think that I can
Yeah.
vote for you to win this game. But I'm so happy that you had that happening for you.
But
Like,
listen, people were eating it up because she made a little joke, and people
people
were like,
liked
"Oh my
it.
god, you're so funny!"
It was funny. It was
Yeah, I
very
know it
funny
was
in the
funny. It was
moment.
funny, but listen, we are on a tight schedule here. We don't have time for jokes.
Yeah, and
Okay?
I was here to suss out the best game. I wasn't here for fun. I was here for strategy. And I said,
Yeah.
I don't have time for your little scone. I'm here to vote for the winner of this very important game of Survivor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Anyway,
Olivia, like, clearly during this final tribal is just like absolutely squashing, like stepping on everyone else. And like she just is like has a really dominating presence.
yeah.
And like whatever she said, even if it like it wasn't completely true, or like
Yeah.
her perception is maybe like, or her truth or whatever. Like if someone else combated it, it didn't matter because she was so confident in her like in her mind that like when what does CJ talk about? Oh, he's saying he regrets voting out Gabby, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like, oh well, I shouldn't have like trusted blah 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 blah. And she goes, well, it would have been you.
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? Because like if I had not voted for her and like Dylan had not voted for her, then like, but he couldn't even get that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, because like no, it wouldn't have been me because then we would have voted for Caroline. But I guess that oh, you know what? I guess it. You know what? I guess it would have been him.
It would have. Would it have?
No, because of the idol. That is true.
That is true.
You know, but like, Olivia's right.
Olivia's right, but I don't think that she doesn't say that. She goes, there's 4 levels of deception.
No, she said no, because she said there's levels of deception because even if and we didn't get to hear her full thought. But
well, I was gonna say the whole thing is like a moot point because we ended up Allie goes, I love that. Allie goes, oh, you guys can talk about this later.
Talk about it after
you guys can hash this out later.
I mean, we didn't have time for it, to be fair.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. But I think that is true. When I was watching it, I was like, no, he wouldn't have gone. But no,
I do think it would.
Caroline would have played her idol.
Yeah, Caroline would have gotten.
Caroline would have gotten
the most votes. Yes, Caroline would have gotten the most votes, but CJ would have gone home.
Right. So I think that's what she's talking about with the layers of deception. Like, they were deceiving, like, CJ to vote out Gabby, even though it didn't matter.
That's the thing. That's why I'm like, I don't know that that's a good come back to that answer, because it's like, I feel like Olivia just should have just said, no, Caroline, I played the idol for Caroline. It would have been you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that, like, we're going too deep into, like, it wasn't really a strategic move. It was that, and I don't even know why they convinced CJ to vote for Gabby in the first place, to be honest.
We need some insight from Caroline, because I need to know if she knew about the idol before she talked to CJ. Yeah. And I'm hoping she remembers this, because that's gonna put this all together for me.
And we're gonna ask Olivia and Caroline and see what each of them say.
Yeah, we'll see if their stories
we're
match
gonna get to the bottom of this.
But yeah, she just is like bulldozing this.
But again, I also think that, like, I'm not trying to be an Olivia hater, by the way. Like, but I also think that her interrupting people didn't really sit well with me at the final tribal. And I thought that, like, the way that she was so, I don't know, like, it wasn't convincing me. I was not convinced by her argument at all, to be honest. Yeah.
I can see how it would not work for some people, but I think that is ultimately why she did get the votes.
I do agree,
because I think Caroline does make good arguments, but she just doesn't, like, have the gravitas.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that there was another big moment for me that why I didn't vote for Olivia was, I don't think it was brought up in the final trial, but now I can't remember. It's also, like, it happened at one of the tribals, but she had said because she was immune, she had no idea what was happening. And that was something that stuck with me on the jury. And I was like, I don't really think that that's how you should be approaching the game. If you are safe, that you have no idea what's happening. You know what I mean? Right. And, like, whether that was true or not, I don't know. But I felt like the fact that she would just, like, kind of excuse herself from playing because she was safe made me feel like she didn't have, like, a good read on the game, and she didn't have, like, a lot of, like, forethought about, like, what how other people's moves impacted her, even if she was not being, like, voted out. So I can't remember if that was brought up in the final tribal. I just watched it, and yet I cannot remember. I don't think so.
It was not.
Okay, yeah. So that was just something that was earlier that I, like, had stuck with me as, like, a reason to vote for Caroline over her.
Yeah. So Olivia does win. You and Gabby vote for Caroline. Sorry, I forgot her name for a second. Vote for Caroline, yes. Gabby notably does not vote for her husband.
Yes. I think that it is because we had talked about this. I think that she said it was partially because of the betrayal that she didn't vote for him.
But we're gonna bring in Caroline now. So when we return, Caroline will be with us, and we'll get some insight. Stay tuned. All right, welcome, Caroline. Lovely to see you today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We are ecstatic to hear from you because we have some questions. Firstly, and this is a mystery that has plagued us for the past 2 episodes now. What was the situation with the idol and Olivia? Talk me through her, like, playing that for you.
Yeah, so I feel like I need to take you through the whole scenario of what happened with Gabby.
Please.
Yeah. So basically, immunity challenge is over. We do our little group thing that we've been doing all season, where we're all like, yeah, let's vote this person. So her, Olivia, and I are like, okay, CJ. And I'm like, I don't think Gabby's voting CJ. That is her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only person that makes sense to go is me in this situation. Dylan and CJ are close at this point. Olivia has immunity. Gabby and CJ are married. So I'm like, I'm the odd one out. What can I do to stay in at this point in the game? And that's when Olivia's really pushing CJ, and I'm like, I don't think that's happening, but you do you. So
Right.
that's when I'm like, I have to go talk to CJ because we were working together early in the game. We have a working relationship at that point. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can like finagle something with this man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we
And
have
you
the
did.
conversation that was filmed.
Mhm.
Thank
And
God.
truthfully, at the moment, I really didn't think that would work.
Mhm.
Like, and in the moment, like, I was just like, you know what? I'm just like throwing things at the wall. We're gonna see what sticks.
Mm.
I will say it
And
was incredible to watch.
Such a good moment. I'm so happy that
mhm.
CJ was filming.
Highlight of the
'cause
season.
Yeah. So
I could have
then
just sorry, just you being like, I could have
okay.
easily said nothing.
And CJ eating it up.
Yeah.
Truthfully, words were just coming out of my mouth, and that's
And it
what
worked.
happened. And it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's like the only reason it worked. Because I was like, you know what? Gabby's gonna talk to CJ after this. Like, she
Mm-hmm.
might be able to like set him straight and like just go with what they were originally gonna do, which would make sense. So I didn't want to like depend on that conversation.
Mhm.
And I truthfully didn't really know how much it worked until Olivia went up to CJ and then came back to me and was like, I told him Dylan was going and he just made a face. And I was like, because he knows you're lying to him. I'm like, because he knows you're lying.
Gotcha.
And she was like, I
Yeah.
think you're going. And I was like, yeah, I think so too. Like, so I was like, just kind of like trying to play that up and be like, yeah, I think I'm going. Like, this is it. And I think this is about the time she tells me she has the idol,
Mhm.
Mm.
but she doesn't tell me she's going to play it for me. So I'm like, that's great. You have the idol. CJ doesn't.
Mhm.
Gabby doesn't. So like we
Right.
know voting for Gabby will be fine.
Yeah.
Right. So she claims that she like offered you a deal in exchange for her playing the idol on you. Is that true?
Um, so it is true, but the thing about the deal is I never saw myself taking Dylan to the final three. So it's like
Mhm.
as much it was a deal to keep her, like at that point in the game I was keeping her.
Right. Like it aligned with your
Right.
interests, so
It
it
aligned with
was
my
yeah.
interests. So it's like as much as it was a deal, it was a very last minute deal. And it was just like I was like, okay, we'll see. Like I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
gonna win the next challenge. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if I don't vote for you, like I could still vote off. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that makes
So like
sense.
it
Thank you for putting this into perspective because we have a lot of like what Olivia's claiming in the situation, but not a lot of perspective from you. So I'm
yeah.
glad after 2 years to finally get that. Thank you.
So
Yeah, of course.
you did know that like going into the tribal you knew she was going to play it for you, like it wasn't like a
Yeah.
complete surprise. Okay.
Oh no,
Gotcha.
it wasn't a surprise at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was like,
We
you'll
weren't
play it no, because before that happened, there was also a conversation with Dylan, Olivia, and I where we were talking, and I was trying to convince Dylan to like vote for Gabby, and I thought
mhm.
Dylan would be the harder one to convince because
Right.
I was just like, oh, like I was just like felt like CJ, Gabby, and Dylan were together at that point,
Mhm.
and so while and at that point, I think Dylan also knew Olivia had an idol. Because she
Gotcha.
kind of ended up telling me and Dylan that she had an idol
Mm.
by that point, but Dylan didn't know she was going to play it for me.
Gotcha. Okay. So the cat was out of the
So
bag the scone was out of the pocket, you could
the
say.
Oh my
scone was
God.
out of the pocket.
Whoa. Wow. And the
Yes,
scone
she
comes
was
back.
kikiing with her little castle.
She sure
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is
Um,
a tragic downfall to see you lose here. But what do you
that's
think is
okay.
like what do you think like the biggest reason is that that you didn't win?
Honestly, I think it was just like a rush of a day, and I
Mhm.
had no time to collect my thoughts before we went into the finals. And I think because like there was no time, and then Olivia like talked a lot in the final travel, I just like didn't articulate myself well. I think if I would have like outlined what actually happened in this scenario, it would have helped.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think it was also just like I knew what I knew, and I guess I just assumed other people were picking up on it, but I think like it's hard when
Yeah.
also this is our first time playing this game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't really think like, oh, like what if I do this and then this person's gonna feel this way and
Right.
about every single moment of my life. So I think it's hard to
Yeah.
do that in
Yeah.
this game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is hard to think about like the small implications of like every action, like all the
Right.
time. Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
saying that Olivia like plays a very like bold game. Like she's very like vocal about like the things that she like is doing or like is claiming to do. And like in Perception's reality, right? And I think it's been noted that you've played a little bit of a quiet game.
That's okay.
Particularly at like tribal. We don't hear a lot from you. Do you feel like that made an impact on like people's perception of your game?
I mean it had to, like, just because like jury does only see tribal. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I think I was like so hyper aware of like what people were saying at tribal that I was like, I don't want to like let people in on what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I also didn't
Yeah.
want to like give away any of like the things I wanted to do or I wanted to do moving forward.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's
Yeah.
kind of a balance of that because I think watching this episode back at the beginning, I was just letting Olivia take credit because I'm like, you know what? If Olivia loses, Dylan or CJ wins, they'll probably just take her out because she's taking all this credit right now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I noted in earlier that was like a risky move for her before safety, you know, like
Mhm.
she didn't know if she was gonna be safe and she wasn't. Like luckily for her and like to her credit, you were keeping her around so that like
Mhm.
that solidified the fact that like and Dylan and CJ didn't know how to get her out without you. So it was
Yeah.
like it was fine for her, but yeah, I see the risk with that, like taking all the credit for that because it puts a target on her back.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
feel like people like respected that and just like didn't see your game? Is that what you think the ultimate thing was here?
I don't know. I think like I do think that plays into it, but at the end of the day, like it is just a game. We're not playing for $1 million.
Yeah.
And I think if we were, Gabby and CJ would have never turned on each other because they're
Right.
married.
Right.
They both win, you know?
Yeah.
If you
For
Olivia
sure.
did get
so.
$1 million. I did give that to her.
You Venmoed her.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess because there's not so much at stake, like people were kind of willing to vote for whoever, but
Yeah.
you did
Mhm.
have some personal connections in the game, like outside the game, but also like, your tribe mates and things like that. Or was there anyone you were like surprised by the way that they voted?
At the end.
Yeah.
Um
Because you get Gabby
yeah.
and Jess's vote.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
were either of those surprising for you?
I don't know. I think like in the end, like I think Gabby and I played a lot together, so I think that factored
Mhm.
in. And then with Jess, I mean, we are friends, and like
Mhm.
I was like happy I got your vote because I'm like, oh, she loves Survivor. Like, I think that one meant a lot. So
Yeah.
And
I do stand by my Caroline vote. I said, as I said. Yeah.
yeah.
and
And
I
from what
think
I understand, it's not just because you're like friends. Like she actually like
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
she
Like
should
it
win.
was, yeah. I personally was convinced by your final tribal argument. Like that was when I made the decision because I went in like fully open-minded,
yeah,
expecting to hear like
Mhm.
anything because you really don't know what's going on like at all. And
right.
like Kay said, you weren't giving a lot in tribals. Like you were being very holding your cards close to your chest, so it was hard to like figure out what exactly was going on and who was driving what. So yeah, like I think that even though you feel like you
Mhm.
didn't articulate yourself well, like I was able to gather your game pretty well. So
Cool.
yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and I think the other thing, yeah, I feel like the Gabby tribal is really where everything kind of changed. And like from that point, I kind of knew like what my way to the end would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Just
seemed
either
like
like letting Olivia take all this credit and get voted out herself,
Mhm.
or winning and then just taking the people from my original tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Yeah.
your original tribe, like how much of like the random draw of your tribe like made your success so great?
I think like when the tribe was drawn, I was really nervous because I was
Mm-hmm.
put on a tribe with like Liam, Allie, Gabby, CJ. Like they all, I feel like they all like know each other very well. And like I know
Mm-hmm.
them, but like I feel like just like from pre-existing relationships, like I'm not as tight
Mm-hmm.
with them, or like at least wasn't at the time.
And
And
all
so
your
I
friends
think
were on
like,
the other tribe.
and all my yeah, literally everyone I like was really close with was on the other tribe.
Yeah.
So I feel like that really just was like made me like adapt to whatever was going on around me and being like, oh, Liam says he doesn't want to vote for people. Okay, well, and he has to go to work later. Let's vote him out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fair. Yeah, based
Mhm.
on your final tribal, it seemed like you had a very like clear understanding of like your position, like your plan in the game, like from start to finish, and like that was
Yeah.
really admirable for me.
Mhm.
But after rewatching, I'm curious, is there like anything that like you would have done differently?
um,
Knowing what you know now?
No, I truthfully do think if I could have like articulated myself better in the end, it would have been better. And I guess like going into merge, like I don't know if I would have been like more honest with what was going on because like we did come in with a plan
Mm-hmm.
to like pretend CJ was on the outs and that we were voting him. And so like I felt like if I went against that, that'd be kind of like disrespecting people's trust in
Mm-hmm.
me as a person.
Yeah, I think that that's probably true, considering the culture that the succulents had with
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, so
Hard agree.
yeah, so I think it was more about just like waiting for opportunities. Like when Gabby and
Mhm.
CJ approached me about voting Allie, I was like, you know what? She's a strong player. Like this seems like the right time. So I think it was more about that than anything else.
Yeah. I think you did a really good job being like adaptable. And I think that after talking to you in the game, I think that also was another reason I had like a good grip on your game because you were like so not willing to talk to me. It was like
Well, I think like the other thing about that was like this was all our first time playing and
yeah.
like even like in modern day Survivor, like your tribe matters so much, like what tribe you
Mhm.
start in, if they win, if
Mhm.
they lose. It like has such a big impact on what goes on later in the game. And like that was seen here, even though everyone said this is like old school Survivor, I agree. But
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 But I feel like you did what you had to do, even if it was like icing me and Zach out was probably not like fun or like
No,
what
it
you like
wasn't
wanted.
fun.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't
But
like
like you
voting
did
people
it
out.
and
I don't
like
think voting people
yeah.
out is fun at all.
Yeah. It's
Like
definitely not.
it's not enjoyable
Yeah.
in any way. So
Yeah.
Yet
And
here we are.
yeah, here
it's
we are.
fun if it's like I think it's fun if it's like in theory somebody who like I don't know, like it could be fun, but it's like not fun when it's like oh, they just like didn't get a chance to like talk to everybody or like we had to make a
Yeah.
decision in 5 minutes. Like that kind of thing isn't as fun.
No.
Yeah. It's like you
Yeah,
just have to like pick someone kind of at random. Like that's how the early Dragon Fruits vote outs were. It was like, I guess I didn't talk to Liz.
That's why I think these
so.
like balls to the
Mhm.
wall like tribals are like so much more fun. I think there's like less like tension in them when it's like
Yeah.
people just like trying to do crazy stuff. Like I'm gonna take the necklace from like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever that
Mhm.
looks like.
Yeah.
Like because then Ella's like, well, what am I gonna do?
Right.
Like,
It's like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel bad to vote out someone in that scenario. Like it doesn't feel
Or like it's just like
personal.
fuck
Not
it,
that
let's
it
make it a
should, yeah.
tie. Like I don't know, like
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
let's do something
Yeah.
crazy.
Let's
Yeah,
do
but
Right,
something
we're
people-
not playing for $1
crazy.
million. Let's just
Okay,
do
but we're
that.
playing for
Yeah.
glory, and that's
And it matters.
It means more.
Maybe chaos means more. I don't know.
I do think
Yeah.
in general a lot of people played this season very cautiously.
Yes.
That seems to be the takeaway that a lot of people have had. That's the takeaway
Mhm.
that I felt like I had. I mean, not Olivia, clearly. I don't know if that's how I'm sure she doesn't feel that she played it cautiously, but I'm not sure. We'll talk to
No,
her
I don't-
about it.
yeah, we'll
But,
chat, we'll chat.
But like but that's probably why she won. Like she was actually doing stuff. Like everyone else was too afraid to, you know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
actually like be public and like share their like where they stood and that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, Caroline, thank you so much for being with us. This was really fun. Especially after 2 years, finally getting an answer about that idol. Jess, you
It's
have
been
anything to
keeping me
add?
I was gonna say it's been keeping me up at night.
I haven't been able to sleep. Look at my bags.
For
Yeah.
2 years.
I'm so sorry.
Finally. No, I don't have anything to say. I think you played a really good game. I'm number one Caroline fan in this house.
Love you. In this house.
Excuse
in this
me.
house. I meant this. I
Ooh,
didn't
gotta
didn't
go.
actually mean this house, but I
Well,
meant the
you also missed that we're in couples therapy, so
Yeah, sorry, we're fighting.
we can
Oh
add
my God,
this
you
to the
too?
list.
I thought that
Yeah.
was just CJ and Gabby.
No,
yeah,
now
no,
it's
us
us.
two now. It's us two now.
We're adding this to the
Um,
list of things we have to talk about.
Yeah, Kay actually
Yeah.
does not like you, Caroline. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No,
That's
we're
okay,
arguing
that's fine.
about who likes you more.
Yeah, we're.
Y'all are the sweetest.
Oh. Oh wow, I'm bad. I'm actually bad
Yeah,
at it.
you
'Cause
are
this
bad.
is the way you're supposed to do it, but my fingers
looks
don't
pretty
really
good.
like.
My
fingers don't
fingers
really work like
aren't
that.
doing what's right.
This is usually.
What am I
Yeah,
fingers
yours
do
looks
it?
pretty. That looks pretty silly, Kay.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
we can work on our finger hearts another time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being here. When we return,
It's been great, Jess.
Don't call me Jeff, and you know this.
I'm sorry.
I do love that Olivia calls you Jeff at the 11th hour.
I was
She
like,
says, "And you, Jeff."
And she
I
was like-
once again said this before, but I told everyone, I was like, she's not gonna want you to call her Jeff. I was like, she's not gonna want that. Just call her Kay.
No.
And then they settled on Kay and Ida.
Kay and Ida.
That was what they settled on.
Mhm.
yeah,
So
which is fine. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
But I'm not Jeff. Okay,
No, you look like
I might-
Jeff
I
now.
know.
I'm my own person. Thank you.
You are.
Appreciate it.
Well,
Okay, sorry, we're getting
anyway,
derailed. Anyway.
yeah.
Quit singing. Okay, sorry. So when we return, CJ will be with us.
CJ shall be with us.
And I'm sure he has a lot to say. A lot
Mhm.
about his game, how many votes he thinks he should have gotten, how many votes Olivia shouldn't have gotten, I think will be talked about. So yeah, when we return, CJ will be with us. Welcome back, CJ. Nice to have you on again. How are you feeling?
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Fantastic, as always.
It was hard to see you work so hard, and I mean this in the most loving way possible, and come up short. So I'm curious to know your thoughts after watching this final tribal council. How did you feel like receiving no votes? Do you think it was deserved? Like where is your head at?
Well, during the time, I was like, I thought I played very well. I don't know. But I could see how from the outside, looking in, not through the video, but as a participant or someone I was playing against / with that didn't know my plans, I could see how maybe I, didn't do anything or something. But even then, I feel like, I don't know. Like you said, I thought I worked very hard, and I thought it was very taxing trying to figure it all out and trying to get to, the end there. And then there was some self-doubt. I was like, oh shit, did I really not do anything? Like, I don't know. Maybe I was just a pawn. Maybe they did just carry me, you know.
Mhm.
So it's kind of all over the place. A lot of emotions.
Yeah. Do you want to talk me through the emotional process of specifically voting out your wife? We did get her
Mhm.
insight a little bit, but where did that come from you?
Yeah, we're dying to
Yeah,
know.
that it's a terrible call on my end because I thought, good on Caroline for, kind of planting that seed. I think it was Caroline.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I was like, my wife is that good. Like, she's smart, and like, yeah, I will believe anything that she says, to like a fault pretty much. So I was like, oh shit, maybe. But then again, she is very competitive, which is the
Mhm.
battle I had in my brain. So I was like, man, maybe she would do it. I'm like, it's just a game. Like, she would do it. I would be okay. Like, it'd be all right if she voted for me or whatever. Like, we'd get over it.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, I just didn't trust her in the end. And then I was just like, yeah, screw it. I'll vote out Gab. And then I was like, oh no, what have I? I was like Anakin when he chops off Mace Windu's hand and he just sits there on the floor like, what have I done? That was me. That was how I was feeling.
Yeah, we're so not the right
We
audience for this, but
Mhm.
someone out there will understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
We
moment of like, oh, that I shouldn't have did that, but there's no turning
yeah.
back now. So here I go. It
We were
sucks.
quite tickled by your reaction to Olivia sharing that Gabby in fact did not vote for you. She voted for Caroline. And your
Yeah.
reaction to that
Yeah.
was quite funny.
That
You're
was
like, but so she voted for me, and everyone's like, no.
The realization on your face it's tough to watch.
yeah, no, that
It's
was
yeah.
good. But I really, again, I don't know why. Again, maybe it's because, I think my wife Gabrielle is incredibly good at games. I think she has
Mhm.
she's beaten me at Mario Kart Wii plenty of times. Now I beat her at Mario Kart Switch. Like, the world kind of just,
Mm,
it's a very competitive family in that sense too.
Mhm.
So I didn't put it past her. I was like, there's a possibility that she was like, I kind of want to get here. I want to get to the end of the round. Like, it's just a game. It's all right. Let me vote for CJ. So it's tough. It's really tough. It's such a hard psychological game, and also, again, there's such a short amount of time that came down to the wire, by the way. Like,
Mhm.
that seed was planted, I believe, like almost right before it felt like we were about to go vote. And I said, oh
Mhm.
no. I was like, you're kidding me. So again,
Mhm.
shout out Caroline for
mhm.
planting that
And
seed.
and Gabby does end up voting for Caroline. Did you feel a little
Uh,
salty? Be honest.
did I feel salty that like I got tricked and everything? Is that what you're
No, that
saying?
you didn't get a vote from
No.
your wife.
Oh, that I didn't. I mean, I don't know how I felt. I was just, honestly, every tribal I tried to play such a weird, silly mindset that probably made no sense. Like, I would just say things and just try to play, like, try to act, act like something, and then just see where it goes, see who
Yeah.
believes what, kind of thing. But during that, I was like, ooh, something. I didn't do something right. It was
Yeah.
just unsettling
You
vibes.
certainly did put on a show because this is also where we get you saying that like Olivia's not good TV, that we get a little drama there. Do you stand by that? I'm just curious.
That Olivia's not good TV.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, especially after having watched the whole season back now.
I mean, I guess I'm just so biased. I'm just like, uh, boring. Who said you admit everything, but that's good TV. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I think I was just upset and salty
Yeah.
about it.
I think that the
I
fact
don't
that
know.
you two have such a little feud happening, that inherently is good TV.
Yeah,
Yes,
Like the fact
looking
correct.
that
back,
you like you both like kind of get under each other's skin, like that's fun to watch as a viewer.
yep, yeah.
Certainly.
As I see that now. you know.
you guys fighting in tribal, and Allie's like, you
I-
guys can talk about this later.
Yeah.
And
I
she's coming at your throat. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think you see things in a totally different lens when you're in there, and then you watch it back. It's like recording yourself singing or doing something, and then you listen to it back, and you're like, "Oh man, that's what I sounded like. I need to change this. I need
Oh,
to
wow.
inflect that." Like that's how it felt to me. I was like, "Ooh."
And
Like, I
listen,
probably
we've
shouldn't have said that.
all been there, you
Yes.
know, middle school, you're like, you know what? I think I can maybe sing. Let me record myself. And you're like, oh, let's delete
Right.
that.
Yeah.
No one can ever see that ever. So I have some perspective now. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Emotions are high. This is the first time we're doing this. Everyone is figuring it out. I think that no one really knew what to expect from this. And I think a lot of people were more affected than they had anticipated they would be.
I did feel validated, but only after maybe like way later, after they aired on YouTube and everything. Again, I don't want to get ahead of what we're talking about, but just what Allie said once the winner was announced.
Oh, do we want to talk about it?
I mean, we can.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I was like, damn. Okay.
Okay, so let's
Okay.
paint a picture here, right?
Right.
So the votes are revealed. Olivia's the winner. Cameras turn off, right? Like, yeah.
We're all congratulating Olivia, hugging each other.
Everyone go home, blah blah blah. And
we were hugging. No,
some people were hugging. Some people were hugging.
Some people were
I think a lot of people were just sort of like begrudgingly packing up their belongings. Like, let's go home.
Practically pitch black in the park.
It's pitch black in the park. And what does Allie do?
Well, I don't remember if I said something, but what Allie said.
Well, here, okay, I'll say exactly what kind of prompted this is you were kind of being a little like mopey because you didn't get any votes. It happens. Like you're like, dang, like I didn't get any votes, blah blah blah.
Right. I think
you were kind of like
along the lines of dang, not a single vote,
Yeah.
Like, I said something like that, and then Allie just comes out. CJ, I want you to know that nobody was gonna vote for you.
She says your name was not in any of the jury's mouth. That's what she says.
I was like, bet. I was like, sounds good. And that kind of just, if I was here, I jumped over the edge,
Yeah.
And then Gabby goes, well, that was unnecessary.
And listen, we have talked extensively about like this is Allie's sore winner era, I guess. Like poor sportsman.
She wasn't winning here.
Yeah, poor sportsman Allie. This is her moment. Yeah.
We have talked about, I think before, that not only is she a sore winner, but she's also a sore loser. So it's just
the girl's just sore.
I've definitely been there, and I've tried to relax as you get older, and you're like, it's a game, whatever, shit happens. But I think I was just it was such a long day. Again, it was night. I'm sure we didn't eat. I don't know if we got dinner or anything like that too, but regardless, I just thought that I did well. And then you get zero validation, like not even like a little like crumb, like nothing, So I was like, dang, I guess like I really didn't do as well as I thought. And then, yes, I did want to talk about it, and I laid out that comment willy-nilly, and then, the dagger or the arrow to the heart, at least in my opinion, was the arrow to the heart hit harder than I thought it was. But then the validation was at the end when this thing airs and everybody starts talking about it. I think Allie said something. Kay, I think you said something. I don't know, but people were like, dude, if you had more time, oh my gosh, like you would have like whatever. And then I didn't even want to hear it. I was like, everybody said I wouldn't have got any votes. I was not in anybody's mouth.
Everybody just being just Allie.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Allie.
And we just talked about this with Caroline as well, but like perception is reality, right? So they can only see what is like very like right in front of their face. So like you're doing things behind the scenes, but like the plans didn't actually like come to fruition, unfortunately. So
And
like
that's
they
what I
would've
didn't
done.
they didn't see you like laying those foundations because you didn't have the time to complete them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to
Yeah.
say there are a lot of really great players who are like no vote third place finalists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily
Yeah.
that like you were like you played a shitty game, but
Yeah.
it
It
it's
is
the way
also
the cards fell.
it's extremely uncommon for there to be votes on all three finalists, just in general, because most
Yeah.
people come away with the same conclusion from the final tribal.
I'm happy I got there. I just didn't love the torment that followed, you know.
Mhm.
The did I even do anything? Like, you know, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. But honestly, you know, again, looking back at it, it's a game. It was fun. I should have won a lot more challenges. I did not, you know. I don't have anybody to blame on that end except for me, you know. There was um like some of the stick like that stick game one when you had to take a stick away, some shit. I was like,
Mhm.
that I had that in the bag.
Mhm.
I didn't love those rules. I'm not gonna say who the
Listen, say what you
Wait,
need to
how
say.
were the rules?
no, I just didn't love that if you had no sticks left, you were allowed to take someone else's stick.
Oh.
So
Well, you got the
Olivia,
answer
I
right.
had right,
But like
but
the order that the people are taking six is like arbitrary. So
Variable.
if
Yeah.
you got the point in that round, you still should be able to take a stick. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I agree
unless
with you,
you get
Kay.
eliminated. Because if I think I had 2 or 3 left, whatever it was,
But just
and
hold on, wait. Just because
But then it's just coincidental.
right. Just because I asked Allie to take a stick before you doesn't mean that your correct answer is less valuable than hers. Do you know what I mean?
Because it
right,
was a totally random decision.
but if let's say if you have none out, you're done. You're eliminated, right? Like you don't get the opportunity.
Mhm.
I got out because they you know, I got Olivia out. Then Olivia takes
Mhm.
me. Then it was just Caroline who had 1 stick, and Caroline also got it. But Olivia was out before whatever. She didn't have a stick. I had 2. Caroline had 1,
Mhm.
or whatever it was. And then they both took mine, and I was like, dang, well that sucks. Like now, like I don't know,
Well,
you know.
you should have been in a better social position. I don't know.
I guess.
Or you should have took your stick from not Olivia.
Right.
I guess.
There's a lot of factors,
A
layers,
lot of
layers,
factors. A lot of
layers, layers.
factors.
Goes everywhere.
I am curious though, because you say, what was it in this episode or the episode before, that like Olivia's game isn't like as respectable because would she just win a bunch of challenges? But it does seem like you value the challenges quite a bit. So I'm curious, like where
say that?
you did say that.
I said, it's not a respectable game because she won a lot of challenges.
Well, all she did is win a lot of challenges.
You're like, what's her story that she won challenges? And like there is more to it, but I'm curious, like where do you land on the value of challenges?
Well, I have to then partly disagree with my past self a little bit there, because like that just seems like a silly thing to say. I guess heat of the moment. She really had a fucking hold on me, this Olivia girl. Gosh.
She
Yeah,
was haunting your whole game.
literally. Jeez. No, again, like I think I was just frustrated because, you know, again, like I thought I should have won more of the challenges, but you know, that's my fault. It's nobody's fault. But also, yeah, I mean, looking back, Olivia found some idols and everything, and you know, I can't really remember off the top of my head that what she did was such a finessed way of doing things, other than, you know, saying every truth imaginable. I don't really know how many times she lied, but like I don't think it was a lot. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Happy to be wrong on that one. But I just thought, I was like, this is dumb. Like if this is how you're supposed to play it, then I'll just tell everybody what everybody's saying. And like, why are we keeping that person? I've pleaded so many times. I said, this doesn't make sense. Like, why are we keeping her? She's just gonna tell in any situation, you know, whether it's at tribal council during a challenge, the truth just was spewing, and I was just like, bruh, why would you say that? Like,
Yeah,
you know, but winning challenges, no, it's important.
Yeah, I feel you.
Sure.
I'm
I
curious.
understand what you're.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just we kind of talked about that with in Caroline's interview, because like I hear what you're saying, because Olivia's game is like, it's challenges, it's immunity, it's making waves at tribal. It's like, it's not like a lot of like social strategy, it's not a lot of like sneaking around, it's not a lot of deceit. So it just depends like what you value. I feel like what you're saying you value is like a good combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
So
I guess I'm not mad at her, as apart from just like the rest of the group. Like, what?
mhm.
Why were we okay?
Yeah.
With spilling all the beans, and then potentially having those beans spilled in tribal or a challenge.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm
the succulents only have themselves to blame for Olivia's win, for sure. It's like she was there and like you guys wanted to get her out. You had so many opportunities to get her out. And she was the person that like the jury and like the Dragonfish tribe was like most aware was like she was saving herself when she was in danger. She was playing idols, whether or not she was playing them correctly. She was like the only person who had any idols except for you and Dylan, who burned it like immediately.
That was so dumb when he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've talked a lot about your like, the in-game things that you could have done, maybe to like give you that edge. But I'm curious if like there's things like watching it now that you are realizing that you could have like said to really like put yourself forward in that final tribal council.
I don't know. I feel like I said,
or maybe take other people down.
I mean, it's frustrating again, because I thought that I pleaded as much as I could with the jury. Maybe not during the final tribal, but in the game. And I pleaded, I said, don't let Olivia stay in this game. Like, let's get rid of her. You know what I mean? And in my eyes, Olivia was flying under the radar, because everybody was just like, did you hear what she did? Oh, she just said that. Okay, let's go talk about this. And then that was it. It was just kind of like flown away. So maybe my definition of flying under the radar is just different. But I was just like, she was just walking away with all of this. Like, we're just letting her go scot-free. Nobody's saying anything. But again, it's good TV and it mixes it up. But I don't know what I could have said differently. I mean, and because I didn't think about it, right? I didn't think that they don't see what I'm doing. They don't know what I've been trying to do this whole time. So when I just said it, I didn't explain it. I didn't say anything. And I should have just lied. I should have just been like, I did this, I did that, I did, you know what I mean? And just see where it goes and just act the shit out of it, But I probably should have explained a lot more of what I did/tried to do, but didn't have the limited time, but with the limited time couldn't do anything. But again, even then, I think the jury had their minds set before that tribal council. I don't think, based off of what Ali said and the votes, there was no shot. I was like, no. I could have said, I got everybody out on this stage because I did it. I actually planted the seed here or whatever. But I think their minds were kind of made up. Caroline crushed it, and Olivia did what she did. So
yeah,
I will say I went.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think we have like a lag happening, but I will say I went in with an open mind to the final tribal, which is why I voted.
I believe Zach did as well.
Yeah, which is why I personally voted for Caroline over Olivia, because Caroline's final tribal performance impressed me a lot more than Olivia's. I also think that what we have learned from Olivia winning this is that I feel like you're vindicated, CJ, because you were saying she's too comfortable. You were saying she's walking to the end. And like, she clearly, that like everyone was thinking that she wouldn't be a threat at the end, and you were, and no one was listening to you, and the footage is there. So
yeah
this is true. That. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's I think what I've determined is maybe like your biggest flaw. In the final four, you vote out Dylan.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I voted Dylan.
Yeah, it was 3-1 Dylan, because you wanted to get Olivia out, but you just kind of let Caroline tell you to vote out Dylan.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because
To
that
be
could have been a
honest,
big move for you to get Olivia out there.
I'm trying to remember, conversations that we had and why, we didn't. But I think, I don't know. I think I
Do
did.
you want me to talk you through it?
Yeah, I mean, let me know. Hopefully, it'll jog my memory a little bit.
Yeah, so from what I'm understanding, you and Dylan want Olivia gone, but Caroline's pretty like we need to get Dylan out because he has a good story, blah blah blah. And it seems that you and Dylan don't really understand how a tie at 4 works. So to me, it seemed like just to save yourself the trouble of like whatever would happen with the tie, you just kind of were like, okay, I guess Dylan's got to go. Is that fair?
That's probably fair. That sounds like me.
So I'll tell you how a tie would have worked at 4, and you tell me if this would have made a difference for you.
Okay.
So if you and Dylan had voted for Olivia and Caroline and Olivia had voted for Dylan, then if it remains a deadlock tie, then you, Olivia, and Dylan would be drawing rocks randomly. So one of you 3 would randomly go home. Now, do you still think that like it's better to like be sure that like it's Dylan and not you, or is it like better to gamble in that situation and maybe get
No,
Olivia?
I think, going with Dylan made sense. I think Caroline mentioned that to me, that if it does get tied or something somehow, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just planting memories now that don't make sense. But that sounds like me. That if there was a certainty, that I'd stay, make it to, finals or whatever, and it would just be me, Caroline, Olivia, that I would probably do that. That sounds
Yeah.
like the road less traveled. But the good TV in me should have said, "Fuck it, let's go to rocks,
Let's go to
man.
rocks,
Let's
baby."
shake it
Yeah.
up." I don't. I
Let's shake this thing up.
It would have been fun.
Looking back, I was not as well versed in the rules as much as I should have, and I did watch. I think I watched the whole season, one that you guys recommended and everything, and then we started watching a little more. It was very entertaining. It was very good, but I feel like there was just a lot of things that I can't.
To be fair, that's a
reverse
rule
that.
from like an older season.
Yeah.
We don't have like a fire making kit
Yeah.
or whatever to do that
Makes
in the park.
sense.
But
It's good,
yeah.
and I don't know, like again, I think if we had more time, maybe there's a world in which Dylan and I somehow convinced Caroline, or somehow convince Olivia, because maybe Olivia is, I don't know, she likes the truth. I could have just been like, hey, she's voting for you, like just said something, they're talking about you, and then, planted that seed. But hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
you. So after all of this, I have one final question for you.
Love it.
If you were to play again, how would you approach your game differently?
If I were to play again, how would I approach it differently? I don't know if I would do anything really different other than what I'd try to do. I'd probably try to win more, immunity as much as I can. I felt that maybe during those individual immunities, I kind of put the brakes on a little bit. Some of the mind ones, like, the memorization of going back and forth, I was like, oh, I thought I had this down, but I was pretty gassed.
So you just want to you want to win out?
Yeah, I don't know. No, I think if I were to play again, I would remember that it's fun, that I'm with I'm with some good peeps, and it is a game. It is a game at the end of the day, and like it's competitive. I'm competitive. We have a very competitive squad, and I can't. And honestly, I'd probably make some juicier TV. I'd probably make
Mhm.
Yeah,
some
you got to get
teams.
to Olivia's level, you know.
I would,
Yeah, yeah.
I would probably tell the truth, or I should say, slip the truth by accident, and a
Mhm.
tribe will be like, "Ooh, wasn't supposed to say that. My bad." You know, like something
No,
fun
my
to really, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, my favorite moment is when Olivia's like, what's happening with the alliance? And then everyone's like, Olivia. And then she's like, what? Like it's a secret?
Which
Everybody
is
knows. I'm
fair. Like
"Oh,
everyone did
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's funny though.
I guess, yeah. But like, yeah, I would honestly, I'll probably, I don't know. We'll see. You know, I
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more fun to shake things up, and that's kind of what I
Yeah.
wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and getting Gabrielle out too. I was like, ah, shit. You know, fuck it.
Mhm.
Like, let's see what happens. I don't know.
It was
Yeah, I know.
juicy.
I
It
feel
was
like it's really
juicy.
unfortunate that you were like not stuck with, but like you were on a tribe that was like, we're gonna go to 5 together. We are winning all these challenges. We don't ever have to vote anyone out before the merge. When you did
That
vote someone out, it was
is
basically a medical situation where like you were like, for his safety, we'll vote him out. Like you didn't. There
right.
was just not a lot. Like there was, and honestly, like rewatching the season, like the game doesn't pick up till Allie leaves. Like everything before that is pretty like boring, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
I
you
think,
had very few rounds to actually like make things happen.
yeah, that's a really good point. I think there is a balance of winning challenges. You know, if you're winning too many, I think you got to read that and you got to be like, "Ooh, I should start planting some seeds. I should start making
Mm-hmm.
some moves within the people here, get them really to trust me, and then start planting those same seeds, you know, on the other team once the merge happens, and then throw the wrench and everything, you know, because I will say
Yeah.
we were there, yeah, there was we're like, oh, we made it for the merge, it's great, you know, we were coasting at that point. We won like
Mm-hmm.
virtually everything, you know, so
Yeah, and you had like overwhelming numbers to get me and Zach out. There was no like
Yeah.
kind of struggle. The only thing is like the blind side of Allie, like when Dylan is still there, is like when things finally start to like, okay, we're breaking the alliance. Things are happening now. So
gotta shake things up a little more. I gotta make better
yeah, I
TV,
got it.
Yeah.
guys. Better
Well,
Yeah,
TV.
better TV.
CJ, we hope to see you again. Thank you for being here for
Of
the second
course.
time as a ma'am.
Yes.
We
Yes.
appreciate you always. And when we return, our winner Olivia will be with us. Stay
Amazing.
tuned. Welcome, Olivia. First of all, congratulations. Big
Thank
win.
you.
Our first winner.
Thank you so
First
much for
winner.
having me.
And you're wearing what looks like your merge buff that you still have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love
Succulents
that.
pride.
Yeah.
I do still have mine as well.
Yeah. Do you have the succulents one as well, or just the merge? That's
Actually,
okay.
I think just this one. Just this
Yeah,
one.
that's the only one that
That's okay. That's the one that
matters.
matters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about your game a little bit. So your boyfriend was supposed to play alongside you, but unfortunately could not attend. So you were kind of in a place where you didn't know a lot of people. Like, how did that feel for you coming into the game?
It was nerve-wracking a little bit because on one side, you're going to be in the wilderness for an undetermined period of
Yeah.
time. And you want to
Stranded, really.
Really,
Yeah.
exactly. And you do want to form relationships with people, but at the same time, this is a game. This is a serious game. You know, this is not just
Mhm.
playing around in the park. So some judgment calls had to be made on where my priorities needed to be, and I didn't have him with me, which was tough but also good, so he didn't have to see an evil side of me come out.
Mhm.
But it was good and bad in different ways, and as we saw with Gabby and CJ, trusting or not trusting your partner or wanting to play your own game versus thinking you might go further together could lead to your demise.
This is very true. But you did have Liam, right? Besties, but you voted him out very quickly. Like, do you think that made your ride easier, or do you think maybe having like a really like sure number one could have been beneficial for you?
it was hard kind of being an island there at the very beginning. I think it was helpful in terms of kind of being an unknown, less likely to necessarily have someone who's gunning at you because they're friends with you and they know you're good at XYZ and want you out, but also being alone meant that it was important to ally myself with the numbers whenever possible, especially at the beginning, to ensure that I wouldn't be as the outlier, the one getting sent packing.
Yeah, this is very true.
I do think that this game, for some reason, a lot of people were, I mean, not for some reason, I feel like it makes sense. A lot of people were targeting people that they knew had a lot of connections. So I think that probably helped you too. Same with like Caroline, because she wasn't like, none of her close friends were on your tribe. Whereas like people like Allie, people like me were getting kind of like targeted for potentially having connections on the other tribe, or like being too well connected and being able to like sway everyone in their favor. So I think it maybe did help you that you were someone people were underestimating like that.
Definitely, you know, we have those big threats that we want to get out as soon as possible before it becomes too late, and people who we know are good at you know, maybe not manipulation, but if needed, yes, manipulation.
Right.
Yeah.
Who are capable of that and strategic, and those are the people who definitely were threats to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to say that you had like an easy ride, because I think you did have a target on your back very early on, despite all of these things that we're talking about. Like, why do you think that was?
Well, in one sense, you got to kind of put on a persona if you don't want to be perceived as a threat. And especially if you are both the outlier where people don't know if they can trust you and they perceive you as a threat, that's a big no-no, because that's two strikes against you. And only one of those things was under my control. People obviously didn't know me, but I could come off in a way that was not unserious, but more playful than strategic and cutthroat. And that was kind of essential at the beginning, especially because I didn't have those numbers. I didn't want to be resisting what the team wanted to do, which is why it was so important to start off with kind of the Girls Alliance, to feel confident just for a round or two, to make some of those initial eliminations, and then getting into really playing the game later on, where once I did have a little bit more leverage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is like a sentiment of like maybe that some of the gameplay by the Succulents just kind of sticking together was maybe a little boring, like it's not exciting, but like it did get you and Caroline and CJ to the end in the final three. Like it works. So like, what's your rebuttal to that argument?
Yeah, I mean, you can play to make it good for TV, or you can play to win. And a lot of times, if you're playing to win, it ends up being good for TV too.
So this is true.
Wasn't my number one priority, because I knew that drama was going to happen. Things were going to be plot twists. There are going to be things happening that I would be unaware of. And if I had an idol that time around, that was okay. So it was not a bad thing necessarily to be left out of some conversations, because then it didn't it would ensure that I'm not having as many conversations where I'm talking about wanting to get out certain people, where my words could be used against me later. So if I had immunity, it was almost better to kind of keep myself out of the conversation then, at least initially, while people were kind of figuring it out, backstabbing each other, and then I could jump in. And then obviously in some cases needing to use my second idol in a way that would enable me to be more safe with getting Gabby out and heading into the final four.
Yeah, I think there was like a little bit of a perception that like, you know, when you had immunity that you weren't talking strategy, and like I'm glad that you gave a little bit of insight on that, because and like also you just like you saved yourself at such like good times, and even when you didn't maybe like play an idol correctly, like you still were safe, so like it worked out. But
Yeah.
I think also the bonds that you made took you to the end. Can you talk about like what you did to ensure that the people around you were going to keep you safe?
Yeah, honestly, I never felt safe, and watching it back, I never was safe. Um, Kind of my situation was, revealing that I had one idol while actually having two, would lead to a
Mhm.
sense of security once I played that first one. And as soon as I knew I was in an unsafe situation, I knew it was time to play it because there were only so many rounds where I could use an individual idol. And I
Mhm.
figured that in one of the final two rounds, there is a fair chance that I could win um, the individual challenges and at least one of them, and then be able to use my second idol in the other one. Um, Thankfully, I ended up winning both, which is where that
Hmm.
idol came in. But honestly,
Mhm.
watching it back, if I hadn't gotten, um, if I hadn't won those challenges, and if I hadn't used the idol, I would have been gone way earlier on. I think it was maybe even less so those relationships, but the timing of everything that
That's true.
kind of
Yeah.
helped, because they were gunning for me.
I will say, I
Yeah,
think
they
there were
were. They
some
were.
people that were very much gunning for you, but like someone like Caroline had no
Mhm.
intention of getting rid of you, and she was very persuasive. So I
She
don't be
was.
so sure that like you would have automatically been out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and she
Yeah.
she was a really good player too, in that she was flying under the radar for a long time, but was good at all the challenges too, and was someone who we wanted to like keep on the team. Going into the merge, she was like the perfect amount of strategic, where she is a good competitor and a good player and someone you would vote for in the end maybe, but not someone that you feel so threatened by that you need to get rid of her immediately. And I think just having multiple rounds of voting that we went into where Caroline and I knew we were on the same page with something, um, formed definitely a bit of trust there. And then having that conversation together before playing that idol for her was just a good security blanket for me, knowing that um, her vote would not be for me when heading into the final three, which was very important.
Mhm.
And she was someone
Yeah.
who I actually trusted to honor that. Because one, I knew that one of the targets was on her back in that vote. So she needed me, and I felt that she would um, hold her word. So she was a great competitor in that sense, and that someone who was a fierce competitor, but someone who I could trust enough in a situation that was mutually beneficial for both of us
Hmm.
to not
Mhm.
go back on her side of our deal.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious if, and tell me if I'm reading this wrong, but it seemed like you and Caroline were both kind of underestimating each other's like jury threats at the end, like how good of a game one another are playing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And obviously you did come out on top at the end, so like it works out for you, but I'm curious if that was like something that was in your mind when you were deciding to work with Caroline.
yeah. I mean, I think that my biggest priority when we were in the final four, or even in the final five, looking towards final four and final three, ultimately was getting Dylan out, just because he potentially Dylan potentially had the support of the entire other team. So that was a big concern in terms of votes in the very end, because that's a point in time when you got to look a few more steps forward, a few more steps ahead of you than normal.
Right.
So I felt more comfortable with Caroline and CJ being there at the end, just because at different points they had played similar games and they didn't have the story of being the lone survivor from the other team, that made it all the way through. So from a voting standpoint, I could see why people would vote for any of the three of us. And I knew that was going to come down to just trying to be persuasive and really documenting all the times that even your own former teammates didn't know that you actually were being strategic about what you
Mhm.
were doing. but there was no way to really know with Caroline and with CJ. Like, they very well could have won it all in the end in that vote. And they're great competitors. I just knew that getting Dylan out would probably be most helpful. Maybe that would be the most helpful person to eliminate for all of us remaining. But
and I think that we've crunched the numbers here, and it seems like Dylan probably would have taken it in the end, unless like there were some like really persuasive arguments. Like I think he had a pretty good upper hand going in.
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole like Dragon Fruits tribe before our final tribal, like before the final four, were like, if Dylan's there, like we're voting for him. Like that was definitely the energy among me, Zach, Ella, for sure. So that's like 3 votes already, like almost automatically. Yeah. I mean, I definitely was going in. I think we were all going in with an open mind, but it's a high risk bringing him to the final 3 for sure.
Absolutely. And what was great is being able to kind of convince CJ and Caroline, and they were totally on board with that as well. And being able to mention that going into that final challenge where we could use individual immunity definitely was helpful in persuading Caroline of, you're in, because it makes sense to vote out Dylan later. So if you don't vote me out and I can help you stay in now, we'll both be there together, and then leave it. It's out of our hands at that point. And sometimes that's as good as you can get in a game like this, where it's, you know, it's cutthroat, it's hard, no one knows what's going to happen. And at that point, probably everyone feels a bit paranoid. So just knowing that you can get to the end and the rest is out of your hands is enough comfort to go with a certain decision. And totally could have gone a different way in the very end. Luckily enough, it went my way, but absolutely could have seen it going a different direction.
Yeah, I don't want to like how do I want to phrase this? I don't want to like make this like drag your game down at all, because like obviously you did deserve your win, but I'm just curious to play a perfect game, right? No votes against you ever. Everyone votes for you in the finale. I'm curious if there's anything you can think of after watching this back that you're saying like, oh, I think I could have done that differently to have like a more like assured way for me to, you know, make it to the end and win.
That is a tough question. I think it's a tough question because you can never know how it would have gone.
For sure.
A little thing had been different. So it's tough to say. I think that maybe,
or I'll frame it like this: if you were to play again, is there anything that like you've learned from this round that like maybe you are more aware of going in?
A million things. Definitely gonna be on the lookout for idols a bit more at Tribal, but in terms of like the interpersonal game, I hadn't realized how much people would be talking about whether someone was playing an interesting game at the very beginning or not, because I think that became a risky point for me. I know Dylan and CJ had mentioned that and were saying, you know, she hasn't taken risks. She's been playing it safe, sticking with an alliance when those were certain strategic moves at those points in time. Luckily, there was enough differentiation later on in terms of making moves that was able to help me win those votes. But I'm sure that playing again, people will be a little more critical of someone who's not making moves from the very start, moves to shake things up. So I think that you have to be cautious with that, but it is something I'd be more inclined to do. And we'll see.
Yeah.
Future holds.
Yeah. I do think that underestimation is really what helped you, though. Like, because you were like perceived as like playing the safe game. Like, I think people did kind of think you were a safe bet at the final 3, but you had also like played the idols. You had been saying like strategic comments in tribal, you had been winning challenges when it was clear that you were maybe on the chopping block to go home, and that is all stuff that, like, even though it was underestimated by like your teammates, it was like what the jury was seeing was pretty much like you were the most present player to the jury pretty much the whole post merge. So it was I think that I think
Yeah.
that was to your benefit at the end of the day.
Right. And I think it also like matters like who the jury is, right? Because people value different things, and like clearly this jury valued the game that you played. And maybe it wouldn't have gone that way if it were different people, but like you have to be able to read how people are going to perceive that, you know.
Yes, and that was tough too, not knowing certain people in our cast of characters as well, and trying to figure out what would be valued.
Very true.
And try to pick up on that while playing the game too, because no one had conversations with me, at least during the game, that, or at least early on that I can remember in the game, about the votes at the end and who would kind of, besides team alliances with the dragon fruits, probably going to vote for Dylan. And I think a big influence of it was also the one of the seasons of Survivor that I watched in preparation. 43, correct me if I'm wrong, with, I believe it was Michelle, but someone
definitely not 43 because that happened
34?
after.
Yeah,
but Ko-Rong. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The beauty
I got you.
brawn one. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I'll follow up. But one of those where someone, a young woman was underestimated kind of throughout, but eventually got the votes when she's able to like persuade people that she had kind of been putting in the work even when it wasn't seen, and even when the moves that were made were sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger, sometimes laid out a bit in advance. Kind of that final conversation changed everything, and also the fact that people were pissed off with someone else helped out. So people truly do value strategic moves to a point, and then will get mad at them after. So you have to kind of get people out in a way that they respect, and not in a way where they feel
a fine line.
Totally betrayed.
It's a very
Olivia, no spoilers, but I think you should watch Survivor Skinny Atlas.
Oh yeah, okay.
I think this is definitely a topic.
Good thesis. And maybe we could have used this advice for the season.
Look, we're about to, after we finish this episode, like we're gonna start talking about Survivor Skinny Atlas. So like we'll talk about it. But yeah, it's very fine line, because you want to get up there and you want to claim your moves, but like you have to remember that people are gonna take things that you say like maybe personally. They're gonna be upset because like you lied to them, like that kind of thing, and you have to like remember that you're playing with real people, and you can't like they're not just pieces in the game, they're real people who have their own like emotions and like perceptions of their own game. So that's it definitely is a topic to talk about.
Absolutely. And even if someone thinks that they're the target and they're not, they're still going to potentially be either mad or even just suspicious of you in the future because you didn't tell them the whole truth, even if it was because they weren't the actual target. So you make a great point there. It's a difficult line to walk on, literally.
So before we close out, any other advice as a woman who was underestimated, like Michelle Fitzgerald? A great comparison, honestly.
Really good.
Thank you.
Any other advice you would give to people playing for the first time with this win under your belt?
I mean, I don't want to give any advice that you did.
You're like, that's for me, actually.
I would just say, know where you're, but more importantly, know what the perception is for others. So like, know what's strategic for you, but if it's very obviously strategic for you and everyone knows that and everyone might potentially be trying to get in the middle of that, it's a no-go. You got to figure out something else. Or you got to flip the script in a variety of different ways, really. But anything, like, people aren't going to take your word for it. They might not even take your actions words for themselves. So it's all perception, and just be a competitor and try to win those challenges.
Just win the immunity.
Just win.
It's easy.
Just
It's
win.
easy.
Yeah.
Just win.
Be
Okay.
safe.
And then just find the
out,
idols.
win.
Okay.
Yeah, find the idols.
Open the idols. We obviously all want idols. We get caught looking for them. We all want them. Who doesn't want them? Who's gonna be mad? Sometimes people get mad that people are out looking for idols all the time, but what are they gonna do about it if you're immune?
So fair.
So true. Yeah.
Especially if they're
that's
not
so valid.
in the voting block. So
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for your wisdom, and just for chatting with us. It's been a pleasure.
it's an honor.
Doing this whole deep dive has been really fun, and
Yes.
Absolutely.
Having some good
I'm-
good memories, some good reminiscing.
Yeah, and I'm very excited for us to begin our deep dive of Survivor Skinny Atlas. I do recommend that
so
you watch
please
it.
watch
Absolutely.
the season, watch the
Required
deep dives. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
I would
also
say, yeah.
it's also much better, like, produced and stuff.
Yeah.
So
It is.
yeah, which is mostly a me issue.
No,
but,
stop. I heard the winner
We would never blame you.
made a very entertaining a very entertaining season for viewing.
Yeah, it was very entertaining. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure exactly when that will be happening. We also do have our Survivor 46. Are we at 46? Is that what this season current is?
Are we? Yeah, I guess
so.
we are. Yep.
Survivor 46,
Yeah.
our mid-season check-in at the merge will be occurring in a couple weeks. So we'll be with Frankie and Zach to talk about the pre-merge game. So stay tuned for that. And with that, ma'ams are signing off.
Oh, thank